Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 49 of the PTFooty podcast. We have a full show for you today. I'm your host, Peter, and I'm joined by Kevin.
It's everybody's favorite Purtista. How is everybody doing today?
Boo! Sam.
I don't know about everybody.
My father-in-law's on?
Everyone's favorite Englishman over here.
Yeah.
Boo!
Patrick
Is that-
Kendrick?
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Everybody's third favorite American.
Ooh, okay.
Oh,
And special guest, Timo.
everybody's
Whoa.
real favorite American.
God.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna run this in a tight schedule for a bit because Kevin's only got a limited time here. So we're gonna go straight to the point. We're gonna start off with Porto, and there's a lot of stuff to talk about here. But let's get on with the game first. So Moreirense played Porto. They needed a win or a draw to see themselves saved from going down to the second division. They won the game 3-1 with Maxi scoring Porto's only goal. So it was Jessan goal, Maxi, Felipe Marcano, and Alex Telles across the back, with Danilo, Herrera, Andre, Otavio, Brahimi, and Suarez. And Kevin,
Yep.
how do you describe this game? With unlike Benfica playing a completely different side, Porto started off with a strong team, but didn't manage to get the job done. What are your thoughts?
Well, before I get started, I just want to send my condolences to everybody in Manchester and throughout England for the tragedy yesterday. So I want to get that out of the way.
That's why I leave those business to you. You always remember those things. You're the guy.
Plus, I never forget. Such a tragedy. It's so sickening already. This world's going to hell, man. So as far as the game goes, Porto were obviously going to dominate possession, which they did. Estoril, what the hell? I'm thinking about the other relegation match with the Roca. As far as Moreirense, I knew they were going to play on the counter because there's no way that they were going to keep attacking. That's how they dealt with Benfica in the Taça da Liga as well. They just kept hitting on the counter because their forwards are really fast. So, I'm not surprised in that sense. I thought Porto should have at least got a draw out of the match the way that things were going. So,
I think even forgot to mute his
Yeah,
mic.
I'm on the call.
that's it.
What, Thomas?
Did you call me, babe? Oh, all right. So.
Thank you for getting me this mic. That's great.
Uh,
That's
The wonders of being live.
Okay, I'll talk to you in a bit, okay?
All right.
Look
So,
at that.
Sorry, guys.
that's all right.
Timo, you didn't
Yeah,
mute your
saying hi to
mic,
my
bro.
kids, you know?
Yeah, everybody. Okay.
I thought you called me babe for a minute too.
Yeah, absolutely not.
So anyway,
Alright, go on.
Moreirense just like basically parked the bus. Porto didn't really do that much, honestly. Anyway, they just kept passing it and very sloppy, and it was careless. I mean, they really had nothing to play for. Really, it was more Moreirense than anything. But we should have got a better result out of the match. Like I said, at least a draw. I would have been fine with a draw. I was hoping for 2-2, but that didn't happen. For some specific reasons, I was looking for the draw. But yeah, I mean, it was.
What specific reasons were there?
I don't want to get into it, but
so he could
you know
celebrate.
exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, so I could celebrate the draw like Benfica did. But anyway, it was
Jackass.
it was a terrible loss. I'm speaking here. Show some respect to the Porto fan here. Come on. So, it was a terrible end to a very, I guess you could say, poor season that we
Sad.
had. Too many draws that did us in. Games that we should have won, we didn't. But I know we're gonna get into the whole Nuno situation, but I think, man, I don't know what it is. It's something in that locker room. Somebody can't control those players. I don't know what it is, but Yeah, whenever I don't know what question you have next for me, but the sooner we get into the Nuno thing, the better.
The next question I have for you is if you were surprised with the outcome about Nuno, which at least I think that he didn't hide it, because when he got asked, about his future, he immediately said that we're gonna talk it. We're gonna talk about it. We're going to see what's best for the club. At that point, I think that he basically said that we're done, we're finished. Do you agree with the outcome?
Like the outcome as what? Like him
As
getting sacked?
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, this isn't Lopetegui here. I think that they should have given him another chance, or at least until January of next season. He's a very humble guy. He obviously rescinded his contract. He pretty much walked away, and I think he gave up like €1 million, I believe, is what I saw. So he obviously loves Porto. I mean, he could have put up a fight like Lopetegui did, and that was just a mess. But I have a lot of respect for Nuno for what he did. I don't know if he had it out with some players. I believe he did. Some players like the Patra, I know that. Other players I don't know, but it's like I said. I'm a little sad to see him go because I don't think he's that bad of a coach. I think it's just the results, the draws, what did us in. Who's snickering over there? Is that Zach?
No, it's just like a few weeks, like literally like 2 weeks ago, you were saying how much you hated him. I mean,
I know,
Oh,
but I know,
cool.
but when I sat, I don't remember saying I hated him, but like soaking in the whole season, every week you feel different. But soaking in the end of the season here, he's better than what we've had. I think he's a better coach than what we had when Paul Fonseca was here.
What?
Yeah, I wasn't like I kind of felt that from Paul Fonseca too. He's such a good guy too.
Okay.
I think he really is. But the thing is like Mr. Nice Guy, I guess doesn't work. I think that's his style, is just being Mr. Nice Guy. But
What? That's BS. So what do you mean Visa that guy doesn't work? Look at Vitória.
not always, not always though. I mean, look at Mitroglou. I think he's had it out the last couple of weeks. He's not happy.
Nah, nothing. Nah, don't.
I'm sorry,
Nah,
I see differently. Looking
nah.
from the outside, from a non-Benfica point of view, he looks like he's kind of been pissed, and I don't blame him at all because him getting pushed to the bench
He
in
wasn't
favor
pushed to
of
the bench. He
Jimenez.
wasn't scoring.
All right, but he's been doing it all season long for you guys. He came up when
Yeah,
you
he
needed
did.
to against
Yeah, he
Braga.
did.
That
And
was a
Raul
huge,
started,
a huge
and whenever
win.
Raul started, he scored in every single game.
Yeah, and Jimenez scored like pretty much like he had to score against Kuyuav. Like how could you not score that? My daughter could score that with her eyes closed. So I mean, just because of that, I mean, I know a lot of Benfica fans have kind of turned on Mitroglou towards the end of the season. I don't see why. I mean, it's
You know,
it's.
me.
There's been one person, not a bunch. There's really been one.
I've seen a few. Seen a
Uh,
few.
You know what?
Hold on, guys. Can we just
Here's my
Tim,
opinion
before
on that whole situation. It's people
Tim,
who absolutely, in my opinion, don't really know much about footy. Yeah, I mean, he does, keep us in the game when it was necessary, when we had no one else. So, but I digress. We'll get to that.
No, well, you can talk about it. I was just gonna say Zach to mute his mic because I think he's echoing. I think he's the one that's echoing. So.
I literally didn't say anything, and yet I still mess up. Wow.
Okay.
So yeah, that's basically it. I don't know what issues were with any players, so you know, it's tough because the weird thing is that he would use players like Rui Pedro and then not even play him anymore. And I'm such a big fan of João Carlos Teixeira, and he should have got a chance. Like I said this a million times. To me, he was one of our best players in the preseason, and for some reason he did not play him, and he only played him when it wasn't really necessary.
Can I just say one thing to protect Nuno, like real quick? The only thing that I would give him, there's two things that I'll credit him, but if I could mention just one, is that he brought Brahimi back from the dead because he wasn't happy at Porto. He wanted to leave. He badmouthed the club. Yet, if it was his decision or not, he managed to include Brahimi back into the starting lineup. And, he proved to be one of the best players this season. So if there's something that you could, credit Nuno for, maybe that's one thing. So, he might have not played Rui Pedro a lot or João Carlos Teixeira, but he did bring back one of the most important players you guys had.
So I think Nuno had a lot of pressure on him, and here's my take on it. I think he deserved at least another half season or so. And what really is not fair to him is I would put quite a bit of money on the fact that the president of Porto, I said that wrong the first time, probably had a hand in who played the most. And I think the whole FIFA fair play, 116 million that they owe or that they need to make up in sales has played a big part in who got to play. And the reason is, you had to show off or showcase Brahimi. You had to show off or showcase Herrera, so on and so forth. Let's face it. Porto needs to sell. And unless these players are playing, how can you showcase them? So I don't think it was fair really to Nuno, in my opinion, as an outsider, who can clearly see that, because, how can he make a team to his style, to his liking, with the players that maybe he would rather play, the young kids, and that happens. I think Suarez is a good, valid point. I think Suarez is what killed André Silva's, season. Forcing the play out wide where he doesn't belong.
I mean, André Silva was already starting, to not.
No, but see,
he was already
at least in the middle
form.
But at least in the middle, André Silva is where he's most useful.
Yeah, but
he's a good hold-up player. He gets the ball, he can turn, he can shoot. He gets the ball in the air, he can score with his head. I know Suarez came in and scored 9 games in a row or whatever. But after that, what did he do? He didn't do anything. And I think,
to be fair, I think he's part of the reason why they managed to have mathematical hopes of reaching the title in May.
Well, yeah, I think before that. And then after that, that's what killed them. Is, he dipped in form, and I think Nuno's hands were tied, and he was not able to bring André Silva to where he belonged. I'm not saying that, Suarez is going to be sold, but if Suarez had the season, all along, like the whole season that he did in those 9 games, I guarantee you he'd be a player that they'd be selling.
Maybe I don't know, maybe he could get sold anyway.
But, that's where I'll stick up for Nuno. I think he had his hands tied, and, I think that's the thing, in my opinion, that, isn't fair to him, was letting him go when he most likely didn't have his own say in what he did.
Mm-hmm. I just don't think he's a very good manager, but that's just me.
A lot of people don't think Rui Vitória is a good manager, and look at that, 2 in a row.
Yeah, but I mean, I like Rui Vitória. I mean, with Nuno, I think that I don't know if Kevin is going to agree with me, but I want to, there's a little bit of the fact that Benfica dipped in form late December, early January, where they dropped a couple of points in a row, was what let Porto stay, in the race, really. If Benfica would have been more clinical at that stage of the season, maybe they would have won the title like 6 games earlier than what they did.
Sorry, what was that? I didn't catch that.
No, I was talking, and I wanted you to.
Oh, I thought you were asking me a question. I thought I was like,
just share my thoughts and see if you agree that the fact that Benfica dropped a lot of points was what made Porto reach the title hopes.
1 point.
Yeah.
And just to answer back to Zach here, and I know that because he watches La Liga a lot, and Lopetegui got a lot of young Spanish players for us. But then again, Porto wasn't going to be the team that we would get players loaned, and then send them back, and we're developing for other clubs, and we're not doing anything. I mean, unless it was like the same thing, like with the whole Casemiro deal. Like that's something different because then we made money off of it.
That does so
But
BS.
hey, it was easy, fast cash right there, if you ask me. So I mean,
Yeah.
It was,
Yeah.
but it was a very weird deal.
and to Timmy's point there too. I mean, I kind of get his point also. Maybe he didn't have a say, but if that was the case, really, like, would they really let him go? I
Yeah,
don't really.
Yeah,
they
they
need
would.
results. They need results now. And I bet your ass that if Mark Silva doesn't win anything, if he does become Porto's new manager, he's gonna get sacked as well. Like Porto are in coach graveyard. Like Sporting was a couple years ago, where they had like Sapinto and all those other guys one after the other. I remember Paul Sergio. There's so many you couldn't even count. And Porto needs to be very wary of just we're gonna drop titles 10 years, okay, but if we think about it, in the next 10 years, we're gonna be back to dominating. So I think that they need to understand that they're not probably not going to. They don't have to go in win now mode. Basically, is what I'm trying to say. Let Benfica have their reign, and then push yourselves to a higher level where you can compete with a stable manager and the squad, and that's what you're not giving anybody a chance to do that. You sack Lopetegui in like a season and a half. You sack Pizarro in half a season. You sack Nuno in a season. What's next? You're gonna sack Mark Silva 4 games in because he lost 3 out of 4. That's a possibility.
And I think that the problem was like this could have been avoided a long time ago had they just let Lopetegui finish out the rest of the season. It was bad timing. We weren't that far off from first place, so who knows how that would have played out.
That was
But
the biggest mistake.
yeah, it was bad timing.
And you know that, Kevin, because I said that to you, that bringing in Pizarro at that point was just it was almost as
Stupid.
it was almost as if Pinto Corso was desperate. Like he was like, let me make something, let me do a move, because Lopetegui's record wasn't that bad.
They lost like a game.
Yeah,
They were first, and then they lost to
loss.
Sporting, and Sporting went over them to first place. They were like two points off Sporting, and he sacked them. And at that point, Benfica was like 7 or 8 points behind.
Yeah.
I mean, I think like I just said, I think that was piss poor timing, and especially the coach that they got to replace him wasn't even a better choice. So I don't know what's going on, where they're getting their picks from, what they are thinking, but I don't know if it's going to be Marco Silva. I know there was reports throughout the day that he's in Portugal when in fact he was in Switzerland. So I mean, is he on his way to Portugal after there? I don't know.
Do you want to move to that now? Because there's
Yeah, we might
development.
as well. I mean, there's nothing really else to touch upon Nuno. I saw the list of the coaches that were possible for Porto: Sergio Conceição, Claude Puel, Claudio Ranieri. When I saw that, I was like, "There's no way." Marco Silva, obviously. I think that's it. Oh, Daniel Ramos. I saw that one too.
Pedro Martins as well.
Pedro Martins, yep, and that was basically it. Out of that list, and I said this a couple weeks ago, I think that if it's JJ or Mark Silva, I think that Porto could really be champions. If it's one of those two, I don't think it's going to be JJ. JJ just reiterated his commitment to Sporting. I'm sure Sam's happy
and
about
then
that.
proceeded to burn them in press conference, which you're gonna get
Yeah.
to that. So Marco Silva's in Portugal. He arrived in Lisbon with his agent. I tweeted that on a podcast account.
Oh, really? I didn't get to say. I've been busy all afternoon.
Yeah, he's in Lisbon now with his agent. So make that what you will, but yeah, he's in Portugal.
Yeah, I think that's basically. I think he's going to be the next coach, and it should have happened a long time ago. Now the thing is, supposedly there's a clause for anti-rival clause from Sporting. Maybe since they reopened a relationship, maybe that has something to do with it. But in any case, I read that the clause was going to expire in June. of 2017, which be like next week. So,
Mhm.
that's
Me and my dad made a joke saying that you guys are just going to switch managers because of all the the new relationship, instead of the Sporting and JJ to Porto.
and it all
Yeah.
depends how his season is gonna go. The next season is gonna go too. The two gets sold, and like who stays and who gets sold because we don't know. So I think if most of the players stay, I see Herrera being sold. I see Brahimi being sold, possibly André Silva and Danilo, or Ruben Neves. You can't let both Ruben Neves and Danilo leave at the same time. That's just impossible. I know you got to make the money, but you can make a quick buck. If there's rumors that Arsenal want Danilo and André Silva and they're willing to spend 100 million, that right there in itself is good
Yes.
enough. Because then you could just sell, like, you could offload some of the players who are loaned out. If there are any, I believe there's a few. Plus Marega, that we're asking for at least 10. So that right there, you'd complete your fair play obligations because they sold Kasama, I think his name is, for 3 million. So
Hmm. I wanted to ask Zach if you're, in a neutral point of view, if you're Marco Silva, and you got two offers in the table, one of them's Southampton and the other one's Porto. What do you take?
if what? I'm sorry.
I'm
I
talking to
mean,
Zach.
All right.
um, well,
Yeah, what do you take?
that's pretty tough because I mean Southampton, you've got a good project, but you got a good system. I don't think you got a real good project. I mean, it's tough because Southampton are a really well-run club. One of the best-run clubs in England, and I don't know. I guess this pool signing was a bit underwhelming. But I mean they've got decent players. Um, but I would honestly say Porto and Southampton, in terms of squad powers, are probably a lot around the same level.
Yeah.
Um, Porto are there to, Porto are going to be in the Champions League next season. Um, so there's that for Marco Silva. But at the same time, Southampton, if you do well at Southampton, then Ronald Koeman, for example, he did well at Southampton and he went to Everton. Mauricio Pochettino did well at Southampton and he went to
Tottenham.
Tottenham Hotspur, who
Yeah.
are now, a perennial CL team.
Right.
So it's definitely a stepping stone club for manager, as is Porto, I guess. Um, I would probably go to Southampton, honestly, because I think that
It makes more
I mean,
sense.
if he does well at Southampton, then they'll get a job to, like, maybe like a borderline elite club, you know, like, I
Hmm.
don't know, Lyon or Dortmund. If he goes to Porto and does well, I don't see many, like, Champions League clubs still taking a bet on him. I definitely think Southampton's more of a challenge than Porto, even though both are kind of in bad situations right now.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think if I'm Marco Silva, I've just had, a great first half, like, of my career in England. So I would continue that and try to hone my skills in the South.
Exactly. So that's what I was thinking. Sam, you being British, obviously, what would you choose?
I agree with Zach's point. Just Southampton probably have more money to spend than Porto as well. Probably more money salary wise for
Same.
Marco Silva as well. So
And
Southampton, I would choose
they almost
Southampton.
won the cup, the Capital One Cup this year.
True.
So it's not too bad.
Yeah, and that's why I'm still surprised that we're seeing all these Marco Silva's in Lisbon things, and he is it's just surprising for me is if he got offers from England. I mean, he'd be kind of dumb not to take it.
Hmm.
But to that point as well, if he goes back to Portugal and say wins the league with Porto, that's even better for his CV.
But the thing is, like, he can do that with Porto. But if he makes Southampton a Champions League club, how about that though? Wouldn't that be obviously, you know how people think. Wouldn't it be more impressive to bring Southampton to the top 4 or even top 5 than winning the league with Porto?
I don't really know.
I think so. I mean, Porto is closer to being a champion than Southampton is to being top 5.
Mm.
I mean, maybe not by much, but
But that's not really. I mean, that's not like. I mean, yeah. I mean, Porto will get Champions League football despite a bad season. But I mean, Southampton are. Um, they've got more money. They've got more. It's just more of a
Stability
challenge,
as
I
well.
think.
And
Yeah.
you have more of a chance to stay at Southampton than you have at Porto. There's also the stability factor and how much influence you're gonna have in the squad and all that. So that also might be into consideration. All right, but I think we're gonna have to move on here unless Kevin wants to say something overall to went on this uh topic.
I don't want to take up too much more time on Porto, but I just have to make one more point. I was just thinking here about what like Nuno's accomplishments were at Porto, which were nothing, but he did manage to get us into the Champions League, which was a must. That can't be ignored, especially against a big opponent like Roma. I don't think anybody gave us a chance, and we qualified for the group stage. So I have to tip my hat off to him for that because that was huge, financially as well, because that helped out big time.
didn't you play against 10 men? I'm joking. I'm
Uh,
joking. I'm joking.
I I think we did, but hey, it doesn't
In both
matter. A win's
games.
a win.
In both games.
Hey, it was both red cards too.
I know, dude. Relax.
What game did he talk about? I didn't hear him.
Roma.
Oh, Roma.
Yes,
That
that
game,
was huge.
that game was terrible. By
Yeah,
Roma, not
sure it
you.
was. Okay, but if that was Benfica, you wouldn't be saying that.
I didn't
It
say
was an
you. I said
enjoyable
by
game
Roma.
to watch, I'd say, when I watched
Roma
it.
didn't play well. Flip with their own goal though. All right, though, we gotta move on though.
Yeah, move on to another team. I think we've pretty much covered what we had to on Porto.
Yeah, we're gonna move on to. All right, should I do Benfica? Yeah, let's do Benfica. Why not? Because they've always been last, so we're gonna leave Sporting for last. So we got we got Boa Vista tie up against Benfica. 2-2 was the final result with Mitroglou and Calais scoring for Benfica. So it was a completely different lineup with Júlio César in goal, Pedro Pereira, Lisandro, Calais and Eliseu. Hermes, Felipe Augusto, Samaris, André Horta, Zivkovic and Mitroglou. Timo, what did you
Yes.
think of the game?
Sloppy, especially in the first half. I found that a lot of our new guys, didn't really impress me much. Pedro Pereira, out of all of the newer guys, probably impressed me the most. Good at tracking back, decent positioning. I don't really recall much of going forward. I mean, there was some, but definitely not Nelson Semedo level. Kalisa, I've watched numerous B team games, and I really, really don't rate him much. Obviously, the thunderous header kind of give him a little bit of bonus points, if you will. But defensively, he's very, very sloppy. It could have been the fact that he was on the side of another sloppy defender or center back in Lisandro, but I don't know. Yeah, I think Calais is just always like in the wrong spot. I think his positioning is just horrid.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, if we have to bring somebody up from the B team, assuming we lose Lindelof, I'd rather bring Ruben Diaz up.
Yeah, I
The only
don't
thing
think.
is he's too young. I think that's the problem. He's 19, I think. I don't even know if he turned 20 yet.
Bro, Kalais is 18 though.
Oh, well, it doesn't matter. He still sucks. I'm not a fan.
No.
I'm not.
Okay, well, I'll share my thoughts on him later. But I was just saying that Kalais is younger than Ruben Diaz, so there's not really
Which is
the
fine,
age
I didn't know
argument.
that.
I just don't think they rate him as much as we do, or else he'd be number 5 on the list, and he's not.
I don't know. I mean, watching the B team games and that International Cup, whatever the heck they played, Kalista to me just seems like he's always making the wrong decision, whether to step to the ball or to allow the man to come at him a little bit more before he steps. To his movement, in the back line, to me, just this blah. I'll get off of him now, but Hermes to me is another one who's just kind of,
I mean, I'm sorry to cut you off, but it's hard to judge the guy who was playing completely out of position.
Of course.
45 minutes. So,
but I'm
saving thoughts about him for later.
Which is fine, but I'm also basing it on the B team games that he played, and to me, defensively, he doesn't look good. I'd rather have Eliseo back there with his, better
Eliseo
defensive
doesn't
skills.
defend as bad as, but okay.
No, Hermes defends worse than Eliseo.
I know. I was going to say that Eliseo doesn't defend as bad as.
I think Eliseo's defense is a hell of a lot better than Hermes. But again, I agree with you to the point where on Saturday he played in out of position, which is fine. But based on what I've seen in other games, he's just so defensively, which is what his primary role is. But the second half, I felt like we came out a little bit more. Game got a little bit
better. It got better. Rafa helped.
Yeah, I mean, we also improved our lineup, in my opinion.
Obviously.
But I think the biggest point out of everything I saw in that whole game was Julio Cesar. I think both of those goals he could have done better on.
Yeah, I think the first the first goal was kind of Pedro Pereira's fault because he could have ran to him, and then he doesn't think there's anybody behind him, and when he sees the guy, that's when he starts sprinting. So
I agree.
And the second goal was always difficult.
But I think the second goal was more so Julio Cesar's fault than anyone else. I think he could have done better there. The ball came right across, almost at the 6, just inside of the 6 actually, and he could have maybe dove out further and got a hand to it, or even maybe caught it. Low ball, he could have maybe got his hands to it, but he kind of just dove straight down, he just kind of fell, flopped. I thought he could have done better there, but that's not taking anything away from Boavista. They actually came at us, and they kind of punched us in the mouth, there at the beginning, where it was like, oh, okay, this is how it's gonna go. But again, meaningless game. Get Paul Lopes, the opportunity to come in the game, and right away he made a pretty good save over there in the 6.
Two major saves if you ask me. Yeah.
So, well, he did make 2 saves, but the first one was impressive.
Coming, it was.
He's that close to where he came out, but whatever. It is what it is. Like Kevin said, we celebrated a tie. So.
Yeah. All right. So I wanted to share, just. Okay, as Kevin turns his mic on.
Must have rubbed on his little patch on his chin.
Because everybody heard the static go like.
Leave my patch alone. You're just a hater.
Grow a real beard, will you?
Ooh.
All right, boys. Focus. All right. So I was gonna say that watching the game live, and according to you, but this isn't the thing. But I got my own opinion, and that you have a different view of how the game's played. At least that's the idea. The idea that I got of the game was a little bit different on certain players. First of all, I didn't like Pedro's game. I mean, I think he was just because he was nervous, not because he's bad. So you know, there's that. I mean, he was okay defensively, um, and you know, hold on. So we're just gonna. I'm going to cut off my thoughts here because Kevin needs to go. So Kevin.
Yes, I gotta go. But I hope that everybody enjoys the rest of the show. Shout out to everybody who usually listens. And Estefanio Teixeira, who's also listening. I'm talking to him on YouTube. He's watching live. So shout out to him. Everybody else, enjoy the show. Good night, fellas. I'll talk to you later, Tim. Are you sure you didn't call me babe?
Hey, Kevin. Kevin.
Yeah.
Kevin. Weit für dich, okay?
What?
Weit für dich.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah,
Love you too.
Yeah.
I'm an ass. Take care, everybody.
So, yeah.
See ya. All right.
Sorry.
So no, without Kevin there to interrupt my train of thought. I thought Peter was okay. He didn't really do much, but I guess he was just okay. He was just a guy. Lisandro is the worst player I've seen play for Benfica in the last 6-7 years. I mean,
That's a big
he's just
claim.
terrible. He is terrible. I literally wanted to go into the pitch and just punch him in the mouth. He was that bad. He's terrible. He's got no sense of positioning. He makes stupid ass fouls, like the one where he's in front of the striker and he puts his hand out. Like, what the hell? Like, why is he doing that? And overall, he's just a rash, reckless player, and I do not rate him at all.
I
think-
thought that. Sorry, just to interrupt. That
Go ahead.
I think is it Hermes? Is that his name?
Hermes, yeah, Hermes. You can say Hermes. It's fine.
Well, I thought he played awful as well when I was watching the game. I thought a lot of the attacks came from down his side. Bovis' attacks came from down his side, and that I don't really think he could keep up with the play.
Yeah, but I'll also talk about that. I thought Kalisi was good. Like, I know a lot of people don't rate him, and to be completely honest with you, team, I barely get to watch the P team. Okay, so I don't really watch him, but I was going into the idea that he was going to be bad. While I thought he could have done better in some plays, and he misplaced a few passes here and there, I thought overall he had a good game. I know that the fact that he's like 190 in height helps, but just because he's tall doesn't mean that he's going to win every aerial ball if he doesn't have the skill to do so. And the dude won every single aerial battle, and that's something to keep an eye on. And he also distributed the ball well, yada yada yada. Eliseo was okay. He's good. I mean, he's what you expect out of Eliseo. He had a good game. Felipe Augusto was my man of the match till he came off. He was absolutely running that midfield. He was the one trying to start attacks. He was the one breaking up attacks. He racked up a few interceptions from what I could notice. And he's overall a very good player, and hopefully he's going to have a big impact next season. Samaris absolutely blew up in the second half as soon as Felipe Augusto came off. I think that he was just like, okay, I'm the defensive mid now. I know what I have to do. And he was great. He recovered a lot of balls. And didn't let Boavista attack like at all, because we were pressing them so badly that the press was really, really good, and Samaris did a good job of keeping Boavista out of our midfield. Horta, I didn't really like Horta's game, but apparently he was kind of hurt by the end of the game, so I don't know if he had like a knock during it or something, but I didn't really like his game. Also because I don't think he fits that behind the striker role. I think only Servy's a good player to do that, and John is obviously. Ems, like you said, Sam, he hadn't played for like over a year, and then he played 3 games for the B team, something like that. So I think his stamina is still lacking. He's still lacking the pace. He wasn't really that impressive. What was impressive to me is that Felipe Augusto was the one covering for Eliseo like 99% of the times, and that means a lot with his sense of positioning. And I know I'm a big Felipe Augusto fan. Everybody knows that, but that guy's really impressed me. Zivkovic had a good game, especially when Rafa
Disagree.
came on. Okay. Fair enough. But I just thought he was good. I mean, he didn't really do a lot though. He didn't, but the team overall didn't really do a lot. And I can't really talk about Mitroglou because I never badmouth strikers, and he ended up scoring. So he did what he had to do. Rafa coming on really helped the team. They had a whole new, pace. It was just different. You could see that even him playing next to either Pedro or Eliseu, things were different because you looked like they had the chemistry and all the things that you work on during the season. So that was obviously different. And Raul coming in also helped, even though I can kind of understand why he goes on the wings a lot from watching the game live, even though I still don't agree with it. He needs to be on the box a hell of a lot more. And Paulo had 2 good saves, so there's that. Overall, the game was what you want to see live is that he had intensity, and it was cool experience. Ended up being an okay game, but worth it for the second half and the way that the team fought back. And that's what really impresses me, is that the team simply just doesn't seem to ever give up, no matter who's on the field, and that's very important. Yeah. And I'll leave it at that, I think.
I thought as a neutral was very, I don't know how to put it, like a good game to watch. Maybe just say that. Like when I did a tweet about Rafa about being bad, but when he came on, to be fair, he did sort of change the game, change the tempo of Benfica's game also. Like I said, I don't think Zivkovic. Is it Zivkovic? I can never say his name.
Zivkovic, bro.
Zivkovic. Okay. I'm still gonna forget, so I'm just calling him Ziv from now on. Or I don't know what his first name is, but whatever. I thought he gave Andrea. That's better. Okay, so he gave away the ball a lot. I thought
he did.
He did. Especially in the last, let's say, 10, 20 minutes.
Yeah, let's third.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you were going to say parts of the pitch. My bad.
Oh, right. That's all right. Yeah, and mostly in that place as well. Mitroglou, like I said, strikers, like you said, strikers are there to score goals. So he did his job. Man of the match, Paulo Lopez, obviously. Actually, in all fairness, though, I didn't think Eliseu played that bad. I thought he played pretty well in that game.
No, Eliseu didn't. He actually, I thought he did, fairly good for, whatever happened in the game. It just seemed to me at one point he was way too often up in the opponent's box.
But that's because Timo Boavista didn't have anybody. Yes. They didn't have anybody going for. The thing was that nobody was bothering Eliseu, so he could be.
Yeah. He could have sat. He could have sat on the other goalie's shoulders, and nobody would have bothered him. That's how it was. Like he was constantly in front of the 18. Like it was in the half circle. Like I would say for a good portion of the game, I'm like, yo, who's protecting the left side? But you had Hermes there often, Adams, however you want to call him.
And
I wasn't a fan of him up top on the left. Him on the left, he just seemed that every time he tried to beat a player, he'd either lose the ball or he'd trip over the ball. But yeah, I do agree. Game fitness and rhythm and all that is lacking.
So I don't want to take our conclusions out of it, and we're just gonna have to wait and see. And it's also hard for him, playing out of position, and he might have practiced with Eliseu, but playing a game and practicing is a whole different thing. So
of course.
Timo, I just wanted to get you. I rewatched the game on TV, so I kind of have an idea of how people saw the game. But I need to ask you what you thought of Filipe Augusto. I need to know what you think of it. But to be honest, I have to, because Hugo just keeps messing with me. So I just wanted to get your thoughts.
I mean, I don't. I know you love Filipe Augusto. I just think he's very. At times, he loses the ball, and at times he does make the wrong decision. That could almost result in a solid counterattack for the opponent.
Right.
I know, again, match fitness is a big part of him. I don't think he's there yet. I know he played in, many games, but he didn't play much when it comes to minutes. Do I think he'll be able to develop into a very solid player? Yes. I don't think his game on Saturday was as great as you think it was, but that's probably a knock on him, or not fair to him, because of what we've seen for the last however many games, where Peasy really, really has been phenomenal.
Yeah, and he's a way different player.
Where I think I'm kind of forced to compare the two, because usually when Philippe would come in would be for Peasy.
Yeah, I know.
And so that may lead me to
harsh criticism, because you.
It may lead me to compare him.
Yeah.
When I shouldn't.
Yeah, I get it. No, because
it's really unfair to him. But do I think he can be a very good player? Yes, but I think Rui Vitória needs to make a decision. Where are you playing him? Is he an 8 or is he a 6? You can't put him in for Peasy and then expect him to not only protect the lead, as a I'm holding quotation fingers up here, as a double pivot with Fissure, but then also expect him to lead a counterattack. And I understand there are players that can do that, where I think Peasy actually this year matured a lot and did a lot of work defensively. I just don't think Philippe Auguste is that player. I don't think he is an 8 material. I think he's a 6 all the way.
Is that because what I saw and I'm just going to touch upon this and we got to move on. But what I saw, the fact that he was covering for Eliseo a lot, just felt like his sense of positioning. Like kind of like what you see in Feza, and you can't see on Samaj, because Samaj is always harsh and just follows the guy. Like he might be at the right place, but he follows the guy. Philippe Auguste was the complete opposite. He met a lot with the wingers, and he'd hold up, like he'd get right in front of the guy and say, like, you're not getting past me until Eliseo gets back. That sort of thing. I think he's a solid. I don't see the thing with him being a 6 is I think he's a bit better to be a 6. I would like to see him alongside a defensive mid on a 3-man midfield. That's what I would like to see.
So you want to see him develop more as an 8?
Yeah, but I don't think he's going to get to a Peasy level or anything close to that.
I don't think he's capable of being like your 8 that you count on game in, game out. I don't think he's capable of that.
No.
And I'll touch upon your tweets that you were having with somebody who, like, I read your tweet stating, watching him live is completely different. And there was a comment that was made, live or not live, the player, the player is the player. The one thing I'll disagree with that comment is the games that I've gone to watch live, really notice how unbelievable Fissure is. Fissure on TV, and he's having a good game. You can see the plays that he makes, but what you don't see is when the camera isn't pointing to where Fissure is.
Yeah,
Fissure is always, and I mean always, in the right place. He's always picking up, the empty space or unoccupied space, on either side of either Louisel, Lindelof, in between them, wherever, you name it. He's always in the right location. Same thing with Peasy. I think if Peasy is, stepping to a man on the wing, his space is, now unoccupied. I think Fissure does really well in stepping up to take that, space away from the opponents. Philippe Auguste might be able to do that. Here and there. I don't know that he'll be able to do it unless he's forced to play in one spot. Where I think Fish is a monster. I mean, I know the joke is, he's an octopus, a little pulv. It's what he is, man. The guy is he's everywhere. I mean, it's almost as if you have 6 players on the field when he's on the field because he's constantly in that empty space where somebody else isn't.
Right.
But
Yeah.
that's just to go on to your tweets where you were saying watching him live doesn't watching him on TV doesn't do justice to what his game is, and I kind of agree with that saying because facial live is not facial
Yeah.
on TV. It's completely different when you can truly see where he is on the field at all times.
Yeah, my dad went to watch the Supertaça, and he really fell in love with Rui Amorim after that game because he's like, oh my god, this guy puts in so much work you don't see on TV. So yeah. Thanks for agreeing with me. Yeah, same here. All right, so we're gonna move on now to Sporting. So there we go. So I just want to say one last thing. People that put a knock on us for celebrating the draw. There's two reasons why I'm going to tell you that we celebrated that draw. First of all, we saw a second string with one starter in that squad pull back from being 2-0 down to a 2-2 tie against a very, very decent team that finished 9th in the league. And second of all, those Boavista fans are a bunch of assholes. Just
what did they do?
Olaying Benfica. They olayed. They were passing the ball around.
That is funny.
Olay. Bro, are you kidding me? And second of all, the other
the last team that olayed
chance,
we tied them too, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
I don't think
Sam wants to.
Minute.
I don't think Sam wants to rewrite those memories.
No.
All right.
I do not.
Sorry.
All right, but that's all right. That was what I wanted to talk about. The celebrating the draw and all that. All right, let's move on to the final topic of today's, and then we'll go on to questions. Sporting beat Chaves 4-1. To be honest with you, I did not watch this game at all, so I'll let you guys talk it out. Bastos scored 3 times. Calais' goal's better. Kidding, Sam. Kidding. Mateus also scored for Sporting. It was a very, very different lineup with a second string, kind of like Benfica did. It was between goals, Guy Quatsch, Ruben Smith, and Jefferson across the back with Pelinha, Adrian, Gelson, Mateus, Podense, and Bastos. And I'm sorry, Sam, but I'm going to let the guy that hasn't spoke a lot speak now, and that's Zach. And Zach, you watched this game. What did you think of this game? And if you could sum up Sporting seasons in a couple words. I mean, if you want to mute your mic, maybe, and talk to us. There you go. There you go.
Yeah, I would just say that Bastos, as always, really one of the standout players in Portugal.
That it?
Mateus get on the scoreboard as well. Yeah, overall solid game, and I do think that there have been some good signings lately in Sporting. So there's a lot of reason to look forward to the next season of the Leos. But of course there will be, I think, a few high-profile exits.
Obviously.
Maybe Castaño, but this was a great win, and I think that
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We completely lost you, Zach. We didn't hear a thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We barely heard what you said after good signings, I think. That was
No, I heard. Yeah,
what?
that's where it cut off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it also said, high-profile players would leave, like Gelson and who?
Adrian Silva, possibly Carvalho.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Before I move on to Sam, though, could you sum up their season, the Sporting season, in just, a few words?
Me?
Yeah, you.
I mean, it's just bad fit maybe. And stuff because they did so well last season for the title until the final day. And yeah, I mean, I would just say I think it was just the lack of depth. You know, bringing in Elias didn't really. They needed more backup for Adrian and Gelson. Led to have on their starters, I would say, just really not enough depth. Where Jesus didn't bring in youth, bring in. I think a lot of players that are on loan could have helped Sporting tremendously. And yeah, I mean, it's definitely uncertain what will happen with this Sporting side with Jorge Jesus. Will he stay or will he leave? I do think they need a manager who, like Rui Vitoria, can exploit their superb youth. And you know, for me, that should be the priority. Really, just like bringing and focusing on key players like Ire Medeiros, Mateus Pereira, Daniel Bragança. That needs to be. Like,
it just keeps on going on the Bragança bandwagon.
Like, look, Sporting, I don't expect them to challenge for the title next season, but so the priority for me should be incorporating youth in, and yeah, I mean, there are just some like I making it younger. There are a lot of like old. I don't know why they're playing for Sporting, because they're old and they're not even good. Like, you know, Alan Ruiz, Brian Ruiz, Ziegler is like 28 and he's terrible.
Alan Ruiz is young, isn't he?
Yeah, it's like 22 or something like that.
He's not as young.
And Alan Ruiz is good, unless you mean Brian Ruiz.
Yes, said Brian Ruiz as well.
Okay. I disagree on Alan Ruiz.
Are pretty bad. I mean, Alan Ruiz is. I think Ire and Podence is better too, in my opinion.
I think they'll play different positions.
But yeah, that's fair. That should be the priority. Yeah.
Get younger. Mm-hmm. All right, so Sammy boy. All right, so what do you think of the game?
I've just got so many nicknames. It's just I'm known in many different ways. Okay, so
Sammy Zingo as well. Why not?
Maybe not that one, but all the others. That one I hear a lot with my grandparents. So that's
all right.
Okay, so I think we destroyed Chavez. There's nothing more to a better word to use. We did dominate. They barely had any shots apart from obviously the goal. Hold on, excuse me. I thought obviously Bastos, the best striker in Portuguese league today.
Sorry, I got something in my throat.
Of course you do. Of course you do. He did his job by scoring. We got given two penalties, which, as soft as they may have been, were still penalties in my opinion.
So when's Podence nominating for the Oscars?
The same time Servi gets a gold medal in the Olympics for the diving. So there, it wasn't a dive. There was contact. Might have been a bit over exaggerated, but it's still contact.
He jumped like 4 feet into the air.
Yeah,
and Sam and I said to you, there was definitely contact where the defender's ankle, and it was on the defender's weak ass ankles. He rolled his own ankle trying to, hit the ball. He missed the ball. He rolled his right ankle into the back of Podence's heel, and then he felt that, and all of a sudden I see Podence jump like 4 feet in the air. I'm like, wow. I'm like, look at that. There's contact, so yes, technically it's a foul. It's a penalty. But man, did he jump high?
I agree with that. That's fair enough.
Of course. Yeah.
All right. So go on, Sam.
Mateus Pereira, I think he had a really good game. Maybe his best ever game. I believe he scored his first ever league goal as well. So another great stat. for that as well. I think he's proven that he can play that off the bench, or even, I'm not going to go as far as to say start, but a good impact player when the team is looking tired. He's one to come on and change, like Rafa did for Benfica at the weekend. So yeah, and back to Timo's point about saying, you see players live. It's a different, what's the word? Different opinion. I have that opinion with William Carvalho. I've seen him play 3 times, and I've always thought he's the stuff you don't see on TV, like the positioning and just the mentality he has of the game just makes him a great player. I know he didn't play, but that's just a point I wanted to get across.
That's fine.
And there's another point as well.
I'm glad everybody's on my side on that one.
Yeah, screw Hugo the chav. That's what I have to say. So, what was I going to say about Beto? I thought he had a really underrated performance, and as hard as this has been for me to say that if Rui Patricio goes, I would feel confident having Beto as the number 1. I think he's very underrated. He should be a team where he should start, not to be a backup.
Sam,
He's a competent goalie.
He's a
competent goalie. He's not terrible, So I think you guys would be okay there as well. I don't think that's your problem. I think your problem is your center backs, and if Adrian Silva leaves, you guys are fucked.
Yeah,
I agree. What were you going to say, Thea?
I was going to say, spoiler alert, Beto's a starter for almost any team. So yeah. So he's the starting caliber goalkeeper that you got.
Way too much agreeing in this pod. I'm not liking it.
It just happens that so often the stars just align and we all agree.
It's when Kevin isn't here we will agree.
It's when the asshole isn't here. That's right.
Exactly. Yeah. All right, though. But Seb, is that that you got in the game, or is there? I don't know. Anything else you want to talk? About the game?
In that game, that's pretty much all I have to say. I can't. I'm trying to think back.
That's
not really.
No problem if you don't.
No.
No
Sorry. Well, I did just remember the banner that was held about Ruben Semedo, Bon Voyage.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that was
and
bad.
the Lampions as well, because the fans also saying that along. That's just stupid. That's so dumb.
I thought the banner was dumb. Imagine you go out and that's the first thing you see is you step onto the pitch. That's not going to make you want to play better, is it? It's going to have an impact on a player,
and it's just,
player's morale.
And they're professional. If you're talking about kids, if he's 14, okay, maybe you can say that, but when you get to the pros, it doesn't really matter who you support, because we just don't even think about it when you're on the pitch. So what?
Exactly.
So you know what pisses me off though? If Gelson came out and said publicly, "Yeah, I'm a Benfica fan. I've always been a Benfica fan. I love them. They're my childhood club." I don't think we would see Bon Voyage Gelson, at Alvalade.
To that point as well about the Benfica thing, when he played against Benfica, he played well. It's not like he played awful, which would be of course, Ruben Semedo's going to play bad because he supports Benfica. But like I said, it's just not a good thing.
Yeah, it's hypocrite. They're hypocrites.
I don't agree. Even I've said that I don't think he's good, and that
no one thinks he's good.
If he left, I wouldn't cry about it. But another.
But to push him out of the club because he's a Benfica fan is just ridiculous.
No, not just that. That's not what I meant. It's just the banner in general. Just no matter how bad the players play, I don't think you should do that.
Bon voyage, Luke Castaños.
Well, there's some exceptions, and that's probably one.
I was just messing with you. All right, Timmy, did you get to watch the game? Is there anything else you want to say about this whole thing? Or
yeah, I watched probably the first 60 or so minutes, 65 minutes. After that, I was getting hungry, so I said, screw it. And I will agree with Sam on Mateos. He had a phenomenal game. I think Jeltsin is Jeltsin, and Jeltsin played well. There was a few plays where I thought he could have passed the ball, where he tried taking on, two defenders at once when he had a man open, and he decided not to pass. But again, he's young. But Mateus is it Pereira?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
Mateus Pereira.
I felt like he had a very, very good game. He did well coming down the left wing. His goal was, nice as well. And to give Sam a little pat on the back, Bas Dost this year has been the best striker in Portugal based on goals alone. In the box, I don't think there's a better striker in Portugal today. I'll say that. It is what it is. But I do agree what we were talking about earlier. I think that was also to Sporting's detriment, where I think if you had somebody else who maybe helped a little bit more, even though they mainly play in the one striker system.
But that's what they started to see with Alan Ruiz for a while, though.
Correct.
So
he
helped out a bit.
Yeah, I think once they mainly moved to this one striker up top type of style, if you will. I think that's where Sporting really, their defensive woes really got exploited. But that's just my opinion.
But wait, didn't you know that JJ's teams are always the one with the best defensive record?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, how many goals did Sporting give up this year?
36.
Too many.
Oh, 36. That's
No, of course. Is that the actual fact?
Yeah,
or you
yes.
just made that up?
No,
Is
yes. Yeah,
And-
yeah.
And Benfica gave up how many?
18.
18. Oh, that's interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, they ended up with the best offense, best defense, and
On the last week with a bunch of scrubs playing. Cool.
Yeah. There's only one more thing I want to talk about. Let's make it brief, guys, because we're over the hour mark. How do you guys feel about the comments, especially you, Sam, with what JJ said at the press conference, where the fans held up a banner saying that they were disappointed, and he replied saying something like, "I'm not going to, completely translate his words, but basically something like disappointment. Why? I'd be disappointed if I was in a team that's used to winning trophies. I'm used to winning trophies. Sporting hasn't won a trophy in a very long time." How do you? I mean, what do you think?
I don't know if we've sworn yet on this podcast.
Yeah, we
but-
did.
10 times, a few
Okay,
times.
so I'm just going to tell Georgie to fuck right off, just because even if that statement you could say is true,
It is.
that we won a title the same time as he didn't win. So recently was what the Supertasso.
Yeah,
you're saying
but he meant
does he mean league title? Okay.
Yeah, of course he meant league title.
But as a manager of a club, no matter how bad or good the club is, that's just not something you say. If you want to win the fans over, and I'm not sure the last couple of months, I'd say he's really lost, and you can see a lot of people on social media and the actual people at the arena. They've lost a connection with him. There's just no reason to support him other than just he's there. We can't change the fact that if we had to get rid of him, we'd be in a debt of 16 million. Mm-hmm. So it's more than just, I don't know. For me, I hope he resigns.
Timo, I just want to get your quick thoughts on this, because we all know that every Benfica fan, used to like JJ, or at least, like I said, used to like. But one thing that everybody agreed on is that guy's too big for his own good, and he was getting to be bigger than Benfica. That was the biggest thing that people pointed.
He thought he was bigger than Benfica. I don't think any of the fans. The fans. Okay. Go ahead. You can finish your point.
No, I was just saying. Everybody agreed that he thinks too highly of himself, and that was one of the reasons why everybody wanted him out of the club at one point, is because he's putting himself in front of the club. How do you feel as a neutral, because you're neutral as to what's going on.
Yep.
About his statement, how do you feel about it?
I mean, I look at it on how everything else he did, especially last season. Where Sporting last year had a phenomenal season, and let's be honest here, they should have been champions. But his mouth is, gets in his way. I think, with JJ, I always loved him at Benfica. I still think he's the best tactician in Portugal. But I think he lacks, other qualities that are necessary to be a world-class coach. And that's having class, humility, and the ability to incorporate, again, youth. I think that's going to be his downfall. And that's why I think JJ, will never end up at a, world-class team outside of Portugal. Of Portugal's big three. I don't think you'll ever see him take over, one of the big 2 or 3 in Spain. I don't think you'll ever see him take over one of the big 5 or 6 in England, or EPL, if you will.
Even if he does, I don't see him lasting long.
Yeah, I mean, I think, being a neutral, I think his words at Sporting are his detriment in not doing well in the league. Especially, I think everything from last year carried over to this year.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna get to the questions and obviously be as brief as you guys can. We got a few. I already answered this one earlier. You asked about Mark Silva and staying in England or going to Porto. He also asked another question, and I'm gonna answer you, and I'm gonna ask you, Timo, to talk about this. And then we obviously know this is a fake rumor. It was created by a fake account. But I just wanted to get your thoughts if something like this was to happen, okay? If you had, the chance to let Lindelof and Ederson go for about a fee of 80 million, do you think that's acceptable? Or
do I think it's acceptable? I mean, we're getting into a culture in football where teams pay out of their ass for absolutely nothing. Real Madrid today paid 46 million for the 16-year-old kid from Flamengo, if I'm not mistaken. That's where football is going. So, or has been ever since, especially when Ronaldo went from Manchester United to Real Madrid. At that point. And then I think that really started the whole silly season and big numbers. I think Lindelof is and can be a world-class center back on almost any team he plays for, given that he gets to play on his preferred right side. That's a big key to him, in my opinion. So do I think he's worth, 35, 40 million all day long? I think he is. Ederson, I don't think anybody's ever. What's the most somebody's ever paid for a goalkeeper? Is it still Oblak?
I think it's Buffon. It's Buffon.
It's
No,
Buffon or
something
Oblak,
like
I think.
20.
I think
it's like
Oblak,
20.
No,
Oblak's like second or third.
No,
I'm pretty sure.
I think Oblak is the highest at 16. I think that was the highest back then.
I thought Buffon was like 30, wasn't it?
Yeah, Buffon's like 25
Really?
or something. But it's like,
Damn,
it's like 20, but it's like 25. Yeah,
Okay.
It's like 25.
So, I think Ederson has proven, in every single, I can't say every single game, but I think he's proven at all the different stages, Champions League, you name it, that he's worth his weight in gold pretty much. He could be a difference maker for almost any team that, let's say, put him on Man City right now. With the season Manchester City had this year, with, the goalkeeper that they had they had Ederson, they'd probably be champions.
Yeah.
I really do think that, Bravo is shit. And I think half of the games that they lost or tied, he'd probably have won them for them. Excuse me. So 80 million, yeah, I think is a good starting point. I think our problem here is the amount of money that Rioave will be owed.
Yeah, we'll see.
I can't see
we'll
Benfica
so.
selling him for 60 million like they want.
Yeah, no, that's not happening. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think if somebody's flashing us 80 to 100 million for those two players, you take it and you run away.
Yeah. Okay.
You have to.
Right. I got another question. It's a lesson from Neil. He asked me how the atmosphere was like at the Bessing. It's really good. And I gotta say that you know the greatness of your club. You know where you're in. But I still got goosebumps and I still got surprised when I saw the way that everybody was just celebrating the aftermatch. Like after the game, it's just ridiculous because there's nobody else in the stadium, and you're singing and and you're applauding. And it's really good. It was a really cool experience, and it's a very good atmosphere despite having nothing to win. All right, so we got one more question. It's from Stefan. Yes, do you think Benfica won because of the so-called Colingo?
Who wants to answer first?
I don't know.
I'll
Maybe.
Go on. Okay. So, do I think Benfica got some bad calls in their favour? Of course. Do I think they made the calls going in their favour? No. So, yeah, deserving champions for me.
All right, good.
Good man,
All right,
Sam.
so we got one last question, and it's from Zé. And Zé asked, and this is an important one. All right, why are Porto fans so salty when they love dishing it out? I'd love to know.
Yeah, the world may never know.
So nobody's got an answer for this.
You're a bit of the same, Peter. To be fair, in the group chat, I must say,
I dish it out.
and when Kevin gives it back, you don't like it.
No, I dish it out. He dishes back. Then
you know what?
He gets mad and blocks me, which is different.
In our group chat that I have with Zeh and Patches, Patches is the one who gives the most shit, but anytime somebody else says anything, he gets very defensive and calls us, says whatever he has to say.
There you go.
So, you know
Same
what?
thing here.
You got to be able to take it and dish it, and I have no problem dishing it, as we all know. But I also have no problem.
Yeah.
I also have no problem, being on the receiving end. But it is what it is. I mean, they're just
Nobody will
salty,
ever
and
know.
let's just go on and make a point where back in the day, when Benfica struggled to win anything, I know we held on pretty close to our history and what our past was about. The past, glorias, if you will. And we used to get bashed for that, saying, live in the present, not in the past. And
now they say,
and now it's them.
Now they do
it's
the
the
same thing.
Feasters that are, living, with their penta. Oh, but we got a penta. I've heard Kevin, or seen him put up a little picture of their little penta logo probably like 40 times, since last weekend. And you know what? Who's living in the past now?
Yeah, right. Karma. I just want to say that I'm very, very upset to see that Liga Salazar is trending here in Portugal. Shame, people. Shame. I'm not kidding. That's literally trending.
It's probably most of the tweets from Benfica fans taking the piss out of that, not
probably
Porto Sporting fans.
Hey, here's a question.
Actually, 50-50.
To you, Peter.
All right, real quick.
Me.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is it true that back in the day, during the actual Salazar years, that Porto could have been relegated, but they changed the number of teams in the league?
Yeah, apparently so. Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure if that was
seems to be
or if that was
seems
true.
to be a known fact. Yeah,
I had never heard of that. So
there's a couple of weird things Salazar related.
Yeah.
We're gonna end it up on. I'm just gonna end it up here that you can end it. I'm gonna say that Benfica could have won the Tetra about 3 times. And I swear to God, you guys go on Wikipedia and it goes
Sporting always beat us.
Benfica, Sporting. Benfica, Sporting. Like, how the hell?
Yep.
That's not a coincidence. All right. So, anyway, we're going to break it.
Well, hold up. Just one more thing. Sorry.
Real quick, come on. 30 seconds.
just shout out to former Portugal midfielder and now retired midfielder Thiago. I
Thiago, yes.
always rated him. Always thought he was very underrated. So
Should have stayed at Benfica.
congratulations on a good career.
Should have stayed at
Damn
Benfica
right.
longer. All right.
Agreed.
Well, thank you, Timo, for coming on. This was a longer episode than we were expecting, but it was a good one.
It's all good. Thanks for having me on again. Appreciate it.
Yeah. We'll be back next week. We're going to be talking Tasa, and we'll see how we'll celebrate episode number 50. That's still, up for, up for grabs. We'll see what we're going to do. But that's it. We'll be back next week with episode number 50, the Tasa review, and maybe a little bit of a surprise. See you guys.
Bye.
See ya.